Warning, despite the subject matter at the focus of these videos, my reviews are not intended for viewers under the age of 13, so if you're not of age, turn off the video now. Are they gone? Great, let's get to the intro already. Ranger reveal, huh? Well, I guess it makes sense we'd get this episode now. After all, the season's almost over. However, I can't say I'm not slightly disappointed with the title. I mean, this would have been the perfect place to use the visor crack. Regardless of a few low-quality episodes here and there, this title is still intriguing after what was set up last episode. Evox now has a new general, who has the main three's beast powers, and is smart enough to take them down easily. I could even see the Rangers' identities being revealed as part of Vargoyle's master plan. In fact, that thought alone is getting me pumped, so let's not waste any more time as we look at Power Rangers Beast Morphers, Episode 17, Ranger Reveal. The episode opens with the Rangers joining a massive crowd of people as they wait outside of the news station. The crowd is waiting for the arrival of movie star Nikki Rev, who Ravi says has the best movies, and Zoe mentions that the actress's Hydro Worm series is the best. Wait, I thought Zoe only pretended to be a Hydro Worm fan just to get close to Nate at the movie theater. Also, if Nikki Rev is that famous, I'm surprised the other Rangers didn't join Yellow and Gold on their impromptu date. After all, Nate and Zoe dating sounded so unbelievable, right? Anyway, Zoe goes to congratulate her mom for being lucky enough to interview Nikki Rev, and reporter Reeves says the interview will take her career to the next level. Also among the crowd are Ben, Betty, and Betty's Extendo selfie stick, which she plans to use to get a picture of Nikki Rev to prove that Ben and Betty stood in the same general area as a movie star. It's a good joke. However, as they test the selfie stick, it gets caught on a truck, and our comedy duo is flung into the truck just before it drives away. Reporter Reeves then gets a call from Nikki Rev, who abruptly cancels the interview, but before the crowd can leave disappointed, Vargoyle attacks. As the crowd scatters, a camera is dropped on the ground and records the Rangers morphing into action to take on Vargoyle. The villain then showcases his beast powers to beat the piss out of the Rangers, but it turns out villain power sources are still shit after 25 years, and Scruzzle's attachment dies after a few minutes, forcing Vargoyle to retreat. The Rangers try to figure out how Vargoyle got their powers, so Nate suggests they head back to GB so we can run tests. After the team leaves, reporter Reeves and her cameraman go out to retrieve the fallen camera, and Reeves assumes the Rangers morphed right as the camera recorded, which is a bit of a leap, but I'll go with it. Unfortunately, the memory card in the camera was damaged in the fight, but the cameraman is confident he can fix a corrupted video file before the 6 o'clock news. As a YouTuber, this scene insults me. Corrupted video files are almost impossible to retrieve, and you're better off just re-recording if you're on a deadline. I look forward to all the comments that'll mention that I haven't met a deadline in years. Anyway, reporter Reeves makes the cameraman promise not to show the footage to anyone else so she can get the scoop, and then proceeds to tell her daughter about the scoop. Zoe is rattled by the news and tries to convince her mom that the Rangers want their identities kept secret, but reporter Reeves says the Rangers will love being famous, and her career will take off like a rocket after this. The news station editor comes in to tell Reeves that he rebooked the Nikki Rev interview, and the reporter informs her boss of the big scoop. In the Cyberverse, Vargoyle is showing Evox his memory pulsator that will allow Evox to get all the Morphex he needs to return to Earth and take over the Morphin Grid. Blaze and Roxy then come in to discredit Vargoyle since he ran from the Rangers, only to discover he stole their memory pulsator idea with Scruzzle's help. Evox doesn't care whose idea it was first, and allows Vargoyle to carry out his evil plan anyway. At the Riptide Gym, Ben and Betty are trying to repair their selfie stick, while Zoe informs the other Rangers of her mom's story, and Ravi says they need to tell Commander Shaw right away. Zoe asks the Rangers to trust her to solve this, since she doesn't want her mom to get in trouble, and they agree to let her try, just as the selfie stick goes wild. In the commotion, the stick snags the wig off someone, who turns out to be Nikki Rev in disguise, and she's immediately swarmed by a crowd. The Rangers get her out of there, and even have transport to take her back to the hotel, before they reflect on how hard fame is.
Did you see the way those fans hounded her?
If people figure out that we're Rangers, we'd never be able to do our job.
Man, I wish I was still doing reaction videos for this show, just so I can show you guys how hard I'm saying, what? The Rangers are then called to deal with an attacking Shockertron and Gigadrone, so they split up to take down these dual threats. Devin, Ravi, and Zoe stay on the ground to fight Shockertron, while Nate and Steel deal with the Gigadrone. But both bots are just a distraction, so Vargoyle can set up the memory pulsator on top of the news station. Eventually, the Gigadrone proves to be too much, so Nate calls on Devin for backup, and after Ravi and Zoe take down the Robotron, they head over to the news station since it's almost 6 o'clock. Devin makes quick work of the Gigadrone before reporter Reeves checks if her cameraman fixed the memory card. Even though he didn't watch the footage to make sure the video was no longer corrupted, he says it's ready. Zoe and Ravi then arrive, but reporter Reeves is too busy to listen to her daughter, especially now that Nikki Rev has arrived for her interview. Reporter Reeves says she's too busy to do the interview, so Zoe offers to do it for her in the hopes that her mother will listen to a famous actress rather than her own daughter. During the interview, reporter Reeves goes to grab the repaired memory card from the control room for some reason, and she sees Zoe ask Nikki Rev about being famous. Nikki says that while she likes making movies, fame can be hard sometimes, adding that the reason she canceled her first interview was because she got held up by fans at the airport. Reporter Reeves then goes on stage to report the Ranger reveal, but halfway through, she takes Nikki Rev's words to heart and snaps the memory card in half on camera, saying that the Rangers wouldn't be able to do their jobs if everyone knew who they were. Man, she must be the worst journalist on the planet since she clearly doesn't do her research. After the report, Reeves thanks her daughter for helping her realize the error of her ways, and then her boss shows up.
Hello, Edward.
Ron, I've got to fire you.
Well, I've got to fire you. Bing, bong, bong. You're fired, Ed.
Do you even know what you just said?
It was much better.
Excuse me?
The phones are ringing off the hook. Everyone loves you. A reporter with integrity. Good work, Muriel.
The phones are ringing off the hook? What year is this? Cut to the Cyberverse, where Vargoyle checks on Scruzzle's progress on the memory pulsator programming, and the episode ends with Vargoyle laughing maniacally since the destruction of Grid Battle Force is close at hand. Had no idea we were setting up for the finale, and now I'm sad. This episode is a special kind of bad. Structurally, this episode is fine, with the idea being that reporter Reeves is willing to ruin the Rangers' lives just to advance her career. That's why she's rewarded at the end of the episode for giving up her selfish desires for the greater good. However, this episode has the opposite problem that the last few bad episodes I've talked about had. The execution is good, but the concept is flawed as all hell. It's been a long time since I've seen an episode that is this bad at remembering pre-established continuity, which is odd since I praised the first episode of this show for recontextualizing old ideas and making them fresh and new again. In order for this episode to even work, you have to buy that the Rangers wouldn't be able to save the world if people knew who they were, because fans can swarm celebrities, making it hard for them to live normal lives. In a vacuum, this is a decent message for kids, but in continuity, it makes no sense because this is hardly the first time the Rangers have dealt with the team's identities being revealed or fame. MMPR had this exact same thing happen to the Rangers, and while they did ultimately steal the tape with them morphing, I tend to give them a pass because they were the first team. They were told by Zordon that their identities must be kept secret, otherwise they'll lose their powers. It has nothing to do with fans, and the team even went on a talk show once. In Power Rangers in Space, the team reveals themselves to Angel Grove, and not only are they not hounded for an autograph, but the citizens actually help them in the fight against evil. Power Rangers Lost Galaxy states that Kendrix Morgan looks just like a famous actress, but she's never bothered by a fan before, during, or after this episode. Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue has Dana acting like a selfish bitch when her modeling career takes off, but she doesn't ignore her Ranger duties because of fans. After all, it'd be pretty hard to do that when everyone already knows who this team is anyway. Power Rangers Time Force has Wes and Eric's identities revealed to the public, and we never see people asking them for autographs. Power Rangers Dino Thunder does have a moment where Cassidy chooses not to reveal the Rangers' identities, but that's at the end of the show, and is more about those Rangers not being able to live normal lives, rather than them not being able to do their jobs. Again, it's at the end, and this scene takes place right after Evil's destroyed. Power Rangers SPD and RPM had Rangers with public identities, and I don't remember Doggy Kruger getting hounded by fans. Even recent Power Rangers history deals with this. Power Rangers Megaforce and Power Rangers Dino Charge both had episodes where regular teens pretended to be Power Rangers, but importantly, when monsters attacked, people just let them go deal with it. And the coup de grace, Power Rangers Ninja Steel introduces the Gold Ranger as famous country singer Levi Weston, and that guy was rarely ever attacked by fans, even though he went to a regular high school. Hell, the one time the series brought in a fan that kept interfering with Levi's life, the episode implied that he was the asshole for telling the fan to fuck off. I just want narrative consistency, and this episode broke my brain because it kept insisting that the Rangers wouldn't be able to operate as superheroes if their identities were revealed. How does this show have Mayor Daniels name drop Rita Repulsa, Sledge, and Galvanax, but the reporter can't look back at the Rangers that have served in the past and realize that their identities being known is not a big deal? Furthermore, how does no one else working at Grid Battle Force realize the Rangers are about to be outed on TV? Do none of them watch TV? Or is the news station that shit at advertising their own product? Even the villain stuff in this episode is bad because the Beast Powers upgrade fight is way too short given the episodes of build, and the Robotron/Gigadrone fights are boring since they are distractions, and I'm not as invested as I would like to be. Overall, this is unquestionably the worst episode of this show so far. Here we have an episode that ignores decades worth of material just to force a faulty premise with fights that are lacking in any intensity or enjoyment. It is unbelievable the amount of narrative incompetence on display here, and I hope to God I never see anything remotely like this again. Fuck this episode. I'm Nick, aka IronBat1993, and may the power protect you.